Thanks for tuning in today to Goonies Minute, everybody. Right at the top of today's episode, we'd like to tell you that friend of the show Brad Mendenhall of the Cosmic Geppetto podcast will be donating $1 to the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation for every good iTunes review that Goonies Minute receives. We here at Pele Media would like to thank Brad and the Cosmic Geppetto podcast for their continued efforts in fighting this disease. For more information on cystic fibrosis, visit cff.org. And for now, let's get into the minute.
This is a Pele Media podcast.
Welcome back to Goonies Minute, everybody. Goonies Minute is the fan podcast that carefully chronicles and overanalyzes the movie Goonies minute by minute. I'm Brady.
And this is Chris.
Let's go ahead and get into this minute.
Let's get into the minute.
In the previous minute, the Goonies were chased into a new cave. In the center of the cave was an enormous organ made completely out of human bones. Andy was the only Goonie who could read the musical notes on the map. The map was placed in front of her as she pushed down on the first set of keys. Luckily, she hit the right note, and a door to safety opened, but they weren't in the clear just yet. At minute 80, Andy goes to hit another set of keys. As she does, the organ lets out a loud noise, indicating that she has hit the wrong note. At that moment, the floor falls out from underneath Mouth. The rest of the Goonies reach out and pull into safety. Meanwhile, Data is keeping an eye out. He sees that the Fratellis are quickly making their way up to them. In a state of panic, Andy hits another set of keys. The organ emits its loud noise again, and the floor falls out from underneath Brand. And thus ends minute 80 of the Goonies. All right, so in this minute, things are really getting ramped up. Like we've said a couple of minutes prior, I think that this is one of the coolest set pieces in the entire movie. Just the organ itself, the way that it looks, everything from that to what's going on in the scene, and just, okay, so how many of us know how to play musical notes? Do you know how to read music?
You know what's crazy? I don't know if I could do it now, but there was a time that I could look at music and I could tell you what most of the notes were. Mm-hmm. Yet I couldn't play it on anything.
You couldn't play it.
Whether or not I could have done it or not, I never made the effort, but I always thought it was cool.
Yeah. I mean, it's such a skill to be able to read music. And I used to play piano, but it was all by ear. I could, I mean, it was like trying to read a foreign language is looking at sheet music. Especially when there's homicidal killers, like, right on your tail, like coming to kill you, and you have to play a keyboard that is made completely out of human bones, and fingers for that matter. So just imagine the kind of pressure that this teenage girl is under when she hasn't even thought about playing piano since she was like 4 years old, and here she is face to face with a skeleton. And if she doesn't do this, then God knows what's going to happen, and we're about to find out what happens. Whenever she hits the wrong note here, we hear a sound. That's right. You've done the voices of just about everybody through this movie so far, and I think now we're actually getting into you doing the sound effects. So let's see, you did. You did Andy. I did Troy.
It was just beautiful.
That's Andy. Who else?
Andy, you goody.
Yeah.
Then there's Sloth. There's Sloth. That's a baby Ruth. There's a little bit of everything.
Yeah,
in
a
there.
little bit of everything. Here's what I want to know. This instrument is able to be played somehow. How is that? Now I know there's a certain instrument in the world. It was made like, several hundred years ago, and it's still playing the same song, but it doesn't run off of electricity, and I can't think of the name of this instrument.
Was it almost like it's a giant, was it a music box? Almost. But a music box has a winding thing in there that lets it play for a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
So that wouldn't, you know what I mean? That wouldn't really make sense unless it was powered by
it's this perpetual
something.
Yeah. So I'm trying to figure out what would make this.
I'm trying to think if there's some type of weight or something or a gravitational pull or something that would make it continue to play. Because I'm saying this, I've never heard of this.
Okay.
So I'm gonna look this up after we talk about it. So maybe I could figure it out, but
here's something
I don't know. I've never heard of it.
The thing that kind of throws this off for me is the fact that it's an organ. I don't really know how organs work, but this could very well act and function just this exact same way that a piano does. You hit a piano key.
Yeah, and some of them are electrical, some of them are not. Like a regular piano is not. Organ. Well, they always say pipe organs. Okay,
right.
So going to the Catholic church growing up, you always had pipe organs, but the churches that I went to, and most churches that anybody goes to today, a pipe organ, it sounds like a pipe organ, it's really electrical. But the old pipe organs, and I might be wrong, almost had like a PVC pipe shape.
Yeah.
And there was air blown through it, which if you can think about when she hits the wrong notes, they have air blowing through those bones. However, but that's not the actual note that's being blown. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the fail sign.
The fail sign.
The fail
So-
sound.
So not only did One Eye Willie, have this thing built so that
He wanted
the
you to
right kids-
know
he
you
wanted
screwed
you
up,
to know.
in addition to the floor falling.
Exactly. Man, what a mean guy.
Yeah,
Mean-spirited
so
guy.
I think, pipe organs, I think, are more, air-based, but I could be wrong.
Yeah.
But I do know that most of the ones today in any of the churches are electrical.
Yeah.
I do know that.
Well, however he did it was pretty brilliant because that thing has been sitting, in a cave, exposed to the elements for God knows how long, hundreds of years, and now it's being used for the first time since and working perfectly.
You mentioned Andy being the first time since 4 years old she's ever trying to play anything like this. You can imagine how nervous she is. In addition, the music that is playing in the background is this kind of a nervous music. It really fits the scene appropriately.
Absolutely.
Also, and I ask you this, and I would think you would agree, what's worse than when you're trying to do something, you only have a certain amount of time to do it, and someone is rushing you?
Yeah.
Someone that absolutely has no clue how to do it. And that's what Mouth is doing right here.
Yep.
And he's doing it unnecessarily and to a detriment.
Right.
Whereas Data's just trying to help.
Mm-hmm.
Data's trying to help the situation because he sees that the Fratellis are getting closer and there's at the speed of a sloth they're trying to crawl up. But you gotta say-
they've been stalled a little bit in a way that you and I can probably attest to. It's the kind of pressure, putting pressure on someone, especially when you don't know what you're talking about. Like anytime that I'm trying to work on my dad's,
cannot stand it.
yeah, like if my dad's TV goes out and I'm sitting there like trying to mess with it to get it to work, and he's just like over my shoulder like, well, hey, that's a cable. Doesn't that turn the TV on if the cable satellite does this thing and then the other box does this thing?
Isn't that the worst?
I know, and I'm like, just go away, dude. And whatever he's saying usually ends up working. Actually,
Interesting little imagery here. When she hits the wrong note, the parts of the floor fall.
yeah,
Okay. And it reminds me as a kid of also, I've always thought this, like in one of my favorite movies was Superman 2.
yeah.
I used to always watch this movie. I don't know why I loved Superman 2.
I hear it's pretty good.
It's awesome. You've never seen Superman?
No, and I have it, but I have the Richard
God.
Donner cut. Like it's
You
like
need
a,
to see that. It's really good.
I'll check it out.
I really like it.
I'll have to dig it up.
But one of the scenes in Superman 2, they go up to Superman's crystal home, way up north. And what?
Way up north.
I don't know where it is.
I don't know. I'm not a comic book guy. The Fortress of
What's up?
Solitude, is that what it's called? Yeah.
And by the way, I'm not a comic book dude, so I don't know where.
Yeah,
Way
we
Up North
apologize.
is. I don't know. I love the movie. I have no idea where it is.
Okay.
But anyway, his fortress, where he goes up there and he lures Zod and the other goons dressed all in black. But towards the end, whenever he's picking them off one by one, he would like throw them, they would hit a wall, and then they would slide into like almost the center of the earth into this hole.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing here. It's like, where is these people falling to? If let's say they would fall in, if they would have fallen when the floor came out from underneath.
Oh, yeah,
them,
yeah,
Where are
yeah.
they going? I
Where are they
always
gonna
wondered
go?
that.
Well-
Okay, where these people fall in the Fortress of Solitude? Where do they
Yeah.
go to?
Where do they go to?
You
They,
know?
and if you can
I've always
see,
wondered that as a kid.
right? There's light underneath there. Wherever it is that he's going to fall to is exposed to somewhere that there's light, or maybe it's the light coming from where he is.
I don't know,
No,
but
I don't know.
It's just one of those things.
Yeah.
That it's insignificant, but as a kid, I was always curious.
Yeah.
And I was lucky enough to have parents that would usually give me answers when I asked the age-old question,
What
why?
did they answer? Or what was their answer to that?
They didn't have an answer for that. I didn't ask them that.
Yeah.
No, I knew they wouldn't have the answer. I knew I have a better chance of giving an answer than that, than them. But just in general, but I usually got answers from people when I would ask them why,
Yeah.
when I knew they had the answer.
Well,
But
we're going to have to ask
here's-
somebody.
I didn't know. I don't know.
Listeners, hit us up on our Facebook
Where
page
would
and
you
let us-
have fallen?
Where would you have fallen if you got hit the wrong chords on the skeleton organ? So, no, you mentioned the music in the movie here. I think this is one of the best uses of music one of the best parts of the score in the movie. Just the percussion that they've got going, it really amps up the attention. And not only that, it's, whenever Data goes back, it's always Data at kind of the end of the line, keeping an eye on things. And whenever he goes and he sees Jake slowly crawling up, you can barely see Jake's expression, and he is so focused. He just looks like, once I get my hands on you, I'm going to eat you alive. So a part of me was wondering, okay, so this map is written completely in Spanish, and I started to think, are musical notes different in Spanish than they are, say, in English? And then I started to think, nope,
No.
math is the same everywhere, Brady.
No.
So okay, we see Mouth fall in or almost fall in, but they're able to save him, and then she's got to go and hit the next note, and you would think that after getting one of the notes wrong, she would hit the next one, and it would be right.
You're right about that.
Yes.
And I even thought, rewatching it, I thought she did get the next.
Yeah.
Like, I was thinking, I think she gets the next one right, and then the wrong, and then right.
And considering the very first one she hit was right, still kind of throws this off. Like, we don't know what the next one's going to be.
They don't want you to.
They don't
know.
want you
And
to
I
be a
like
step
that.
ahead. Exactly. And it would, so, okay, in this sense, it could very well be, it's plausible that whatever note she's going to hit next after Brand almost falls in at the end of the minute is also going to be wrong. So we don't really know what they're doing with this, but we're going to find out in the next minute. So do you have anything else for minute number 80?
All I have for minute number 80.
Same here. All right, everybody. Remember that tomorrow through Monday, we're going to have Scott and Heather of Pirates of the Caribbean Minute on, and we're going to be talking about all things Goonies, all things Pirates of the Caribbean, and basically just all things pirate related. And can't wait. So, Chris?
Should be a great time.
Should be
I'm
a
looking
great time.
forward to it.
Yeah, me too. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in today for minute number 80. We will see you back here tomorrow for minute number 81 of the Goonies. And until then, this is Brady.
And this is Chris.
And we're here to remind you that Goonies never say die. Goonies Minute is a fan-supported podcast. If you like the show, then leave us a review on iTunes. You can find us at GooniesMinute.com, Facebook.com/GooniesMinute, Twitter.com/GooniesMinute, and at Instagram at GooniesMinute. You can contact us at GooniesMinute@gmail.com. You've been listening to a Pele Media podcast. For premium content and exclusive podcasts, visit us at patreon.com/Pele Media. Check us out on Facebook at facebook.com/Pele Media and follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/Pele Media.